The National Arts Festival has announced that its long-serving Chief Executive Officer, Tony Lankester, will be stepping down from the position later this year. Lankester has been the CEO of the country's leading and one of the continent's most significant art festivals for more than a decade at the helm of the country. He is set up to take up an appointment in the UK from October. He joins us via Skype. Tony, a very good morning. It's great to have you here on the show. Thank you so much for making the time to speak to us. Tony, you've been with the National Arts Festival for 12 years and stepping down just a week after this year's festival probably feels unexpected for a lot of people.
Good morning. Yeah, I suppose it does, but there's never a good time to do these things. So it was just the way that the timelines work. I did have this surreal experience because I only got the actual job offer on the Monday following the festival. So I had the surreal experience of during the festival going through it, thinking that this might be about to happen, but not entirely sure, so not being able to talk about it. So it was just one of those things. I would love to have had a last festival that was my last festival that everyone knew about, but it was not to be.
And Tony, was it a matter of that you felt like it was time for you to go, or did you know, the motivation come from the offer being on the table?
It's perhaps a combination of those two things, plus another thing that I think that every organization needs to go through phases and it goes through cycles in its lifespan. As you said in your intro, I've been in this job for 12 years. That's a long time in one particular job, particularly one that is this one. It's highly visible and it's leading an event which frankly was there for 33 years before I came along and will be there for several decades still. But in terms of its leadership, it needs every now and again, it needs some fresh ideas, just as I was tasked when I came in to shake it up and invigorate it a little bit. I think that a new management team coming in, the time is right for them to come along. So it was a little bit of that. And then also looking at the trajectory of my own career. I've never lived and worked in another country. It's a great opportunity to do so. And yeah, the timing just felt right for my family, for me, for the job, and for the festival.
And over the last 12 years that you've been with the festival, do you feel like you've achieved everything that you set out to when you first took up the position? And what are some of those highlights, some of the things that really worked and got going over the last 12 years for you?
In terms of achieving everything, well, I think I'd need to be here 100 years to get through that list because it's a job that's never done. No matter how good a festival you stage and no matter how the team pulls together to pull off a great festival, there's always a long list of things that we could do better next year. And even on the back of this year's festival, which happened, which was very successful, we still have a whole lot of things under the skin that the audience wouldn't necessarily recognize or know about that we know we need to improve in the way we do things next year. So the job is never done. In terms of what we've been able to do over the years, I think, and this is largely thanks to the great team that we've got in place. It's a very energetic, very young, very youthful team. It's a very diverse team. And I think pulling that team together over the last few years has been very satisfying to me. It's been very gratifying to see this team flourish and grow. We put in place a whole lot of things. Obviously, just after I took the job, the world hit an economic recession. I think it was a matter of months after I took the job. It wasn't my fault, but I had to deal with it. And so I think that put a whole lot of challenges and speed humps in the way that I wasn't expecting and that we then had to deal with. And I think managing that was difficult, it was stressful. I think the arts in South Africa at the moment is in a very precarious place, a very difficult place. But you know what? Every single year, on the stages of the National Arts Festival and on theatres around the world and around the country, artists get on stage and they do their thing and they do it wonderfully and audiences come out and support them. So no matter what the external environment is, it shows that the arts can flourish. But in terms of my time here, some of the imperatives, things like expanding the business beyond being just a 10-day festival once a year, that was one of the briefs given to me by the board, looking at how the business can stretch its wings. So we've staged festivals in other cities now. We're planning one now to stage in the Middle East in January next year as the producers of it, developing multiple revenue streams for the festival so that we can keep our flagship in Makhanda once a year alive and strong and flourishing. The other important thing that I think we've achieved is developing a deeper relationship with our city and the people who live in the city, not just during the festival time, but year-round. So we've established a Creative City project. Our annual Masipule Choral Festival that we hold in March in Makhanda every year, to me is a great source of pride. It really shows and demonstrates the depth of creative talent in this those are just some of the things that sort of tweak and work with. I say we, it sounds like the Thabo Mbeki Royal we. It's not that. It's really just this amazing team that has galvanized and pulled together around a vision set for us by the board and taken us on that journey.
And now, with all the challenges that exist in the arts industry, let's talk about the current state of art festivals in this country. You're moving to the UK soon. Do you think we're moving in the right direction when we perhaps look at what's happening globally in other parts of the world?
Yeah, absolutely I do. And festivals have such an important part to play in the broader arts ecosystem. They give artists and audiences opportunities that they're not going to get in the course of their everyday life. And I think that if you look at the festival landscape in South Africa at the moment, I think that they're probably close to double, if not more, the number of festivals in place now than when I started this job. And to me, that's a fantastic thing because it's helping develop and grow an adventurous audience for live performance. And I think that's a good thing. So the state of festivals in South Africa is extremely healthy. And that does map with what's happening elsewhere in the world. You know, you go about your ordinary life, you live in Johannesburg or PE or Bloem or Cape Town. You don't often make time to go to the theatre and go and see live performance. You might, if you're a really dedicated person, go once a month. That's 12 shows a year. A festival gives you opportunities to see 4 or 5 shows a day over a 10-day period. And just immerse yourself in it. There's no substitute for that. And that's why festivals are so important. And festival audiences are so adventurous. They try new things. They go and see work that they wouldn't go through the mission of seeing when they were going about their ordinary lives. So festivals are such an important part for audiences and for artists in any arts landscape, but particularly in South Africa.
All right, Tony, unfortunately, that's where we'll have to leave our chat. I would have loved to hear all about your next adventure. Be sure to come back on the show and let us know what you're up to in the UK. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you very much.
That was the CEO of the National Arts Festival, Tony Lankester, who stepped down from his role as CEO and will be relocating to the UK later this year.